used to asset classes where, like a farm where they have output or a company where they make products. To have an asset class that's 100% based on sort of greater fool theory that somebody's going to pay more for it than I do, and where it has at its heart sort of this anonymity that, you avoid taxation or any sort of, government rules about kidnapping fees or things. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not involved in that. I'm not long or short any of those things.
And there you have. And then you said money. How is money going to change? How is money?
Well, poor people don't have bank accounts, and so when they have an emergency, they want to borrow, save. It's very tough. Small transactions, the fees are just too high when you have banks and ATMs and all that. If we take the cell phone and just use digital currency, then you can have all those financial services. And it requires a little bit of work getting the regulation right, getting it to critical mass, getting people to trust it. But the magic of that cell phone with the right software means that people have banking, and that's really big for their lives. So they can borrow when they need to. And
that's interesting because everyone has a cell phone and a smartphone now.
The idea is that typically through the cell phone, you should be able to send money to your relatives. You should be able to track the money that's coming in, set aside money to buy seeds the next year. And there are countries where this is beginning to take off. Kenya, Bangladesh, even Somalia, maybe the last country you'd suspect up in Somaliland. If we were building a financial system from scratch today, we'd do it on a digital platform. Digital can lower the cost of a range of transactions by as much as 90%, providing nearly universal access to innovative financial products and services. Unfortunately, we don't have that luxury of starting from scratch. So we have to show not only the vision to plan for this better digital future, but also the wisdom to manage a secure transition from the current system. It's a big responsibility. But with more than 2.5 billion people not able to get at formal financial services, the opportunity compels us to do it. Poor people do have assets, their intellect, their labor, their savings. The problem is that they don't have financial tools to capitalize on these resources. They're trapped in an inefficient cash economy that robs them of opportunities to insure themselves against risk, invest in their productivity, and ultimately to help lift them out of poverty. Innovations like...
And so this has really been extremely egregious. So on September 12th, Jamie Dimon says Bitcoin is a fraud. He says he'll fire any one of his traders buying Bitcoin. Bitcoin drops 24%. When Jamie Dimon speaks, people listen. So that weekend, we found out that the largest buyer of a Bitcoin fund that's in Europe that buys physical Bitcoin, right? The largest buyer was Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan. And that's not illegal.
He says it's a fraud.
It says he'd fire anyone that buys it. Yes.
And at the same time, his company is buying it.
His company is buying it.
It's just, so unethical.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before.
Never waste a good crisis. And when it comes to the economic crisis, don't waste it.
This is something we've been focused on digital currencies for, a couple decades. This is something we've been focused on digital currencies for, a couple decades.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And guys, I come back with that video just to make you think. And we know the billionaires are not going to tell us the truth. We know they've been planning this new digital economy for over 20 years. I've proven that over time and time again. I wrote about it a long time ago. But we have Bill Gates, Jamie Dimon. Bill Gates knows that digital currencies are right around the corner. He's been investing in it for a while, especially blockchain, changing the medical field. I did a video with Ben Gertzel. Also, guys, we have Jamie Dimon. He knows the storm is coming. Earlier this year, he was interviewed. The economy is not that bad. Now he's saying it's a storm coming. We know the billionaires are not going to tell us the truth. Wake the sheep, because the NWO has one more event, and they have plenty of distractions. They have created chaos, and never let a good crisis go to waste. I did a must-watch video on my Patreon. If you're part of my Patreon, please go watch it. We see the sheep already falling for the Hegelian dialectic. Remember, the fall of America to Babylon is happening right in front of your eyes, along with the fall of the US dollar. But then we're going to have the rise of China the dragon, with that digital yuan backed by that digital SDR. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, and he wrote about it a long time ago, because he knows when it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
But back in 2007, we were also looking at an uncertain market. You saw the crisis coming before many, and you started reducing areas with the most risk. Tell me about the risk around the Federal Reserve, going from an easing environment to a tightening environment. I mean, look, JPM and so many other financials benefited greatly from all of this liquidity. Do you see this as this liquidity about to go away? I mean, what happens now when the Fed raises rates and begins this balance sheet runoff?
Yeah. So it's very, very different in 07. In 07, the world was massively overleveraged. Hedge funds, private equity, syndicated loans, some of the banks and investment banks, CIVs, banks globally. This is completely different. The world is not over-leveraged. You could say the government is, but the government has a whole set of different powers than the individual companies do, and consumers were over-leveraged back then. Today, now they're under-leveraged, so it's wholly different. So I also think liquidity had pluses and minuses for everybody. I mean, keeping rates low is terrible for banks. The recovery was obviously very good for banks and all of that, and very good for everybody. So, there was $12 trillion of global liquidity, some of which is going to have to be removed. No one should be surprised the rate's going to go up, and that kind of monetary and fiscal stimulus, which is extraordinary, multiples of what the world's almost ever seen before. And it's going to be hard to figure out what it means when it gets removed. But in the meantime, jobs are plentiful, wages are going up, companies are healthy, consumers are healthy, and the market's going to be volatile because they're trying to figure out exactly what you're asking me. And you know what? They're not going to be able to figure it out. You just have to live through it.
It's a hurricane. Right now it's kind of sunny. Things are doing fine. Everyone thinks the Fed can handle this. That hurricane is right out there down the road coming our way. We just don't know if it's a minor one or Superstorm Sandy or Sandy or Andrew or something like that. And it's you better brace yourself.
We're going to a different economy. And we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
This effort. And China has big plans for this. They intend to seed their digital yuan into the global environment by giving it away to visitors at next winter's Olympics. When they arrive at the airport, they're going to get yuan digital wallets. They're going to receive digital yuan. They're going to use it throughout their visits to Beijing, and then they're going to take it back to their home countries. They see this as a huge advantage. Why? Because who controls the underlying protocols? Who controls the underlying standards of the future of money will control the future of money.
Most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know, I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.